Okay, day 263, part 1 here in Seth Rich's neighborhood. You can see a nice little memorial to Martin Luther King here, I think, because there's the sign there. The 63 March, I'm not sure if the bikes are the same. But anyway, Dilyana Gaytandshieva. Dilyana Gaytandshieva. Dilyana Gaytandshieva is a Bulgarian journalist from Sofia, Bulgaria. Now, I don't know if you remember me talking about John McCain and Lindsey Graham's illegal arms factory in Bulgaria called Arsenal. And I don't remember if everybody heard me say that the arms were being shipped through Incirlik Air Force Base in Turkey and then moving on. And people remember me talking about Silk Way, not Silk Road, Silk Way Airlines, an Azerbaijani airline that used the diplomatic loophole that we talked about 2 weeks ago, I think. Remember there was a little incident in Zanesville, Ohio, I guess that was a month ago now, about a diplomatic loophole. Well, Dilyana, again, a beautiful woman. I don't know what it is with all these supermodel reporters breaking stories in Syria, but she's the one who found that Silk Way Airlines used the diplomatic loophole to ship weapons from Bulgaria through to Incirlik down to all the UAE, Saudi Arabia, and other places. Also over to Azerbaijan to fund the rebels over there. Turns out it's a Saudi Arabian owned airline. Now, she went back and put 2 and 2 together. She looked at a shipment that was coming from a port in Bulgaria to a port in Saudi Arabia. And since it was shut down and caught, she figured, well, they're doing it some other way. They're doing it by air. I think I mentioned that yesterday under the clock, where I said the British Empire was by air, and now the only difference, by sea with the drugs, and now the only difference is by air. So there you have it. Big story, big story. The diplomatic cover, and that's just how one journalist helps another in this whole thing. And again, it's usually not American journalists that help me, it's ones that are overseas. Everyone in America is too busy saying something crazy. Speaking of American journalism, I guess there's a bill going through Congress, and this comes directly from the crowd. I think the House bill is 257 and the Senate bill is 118. But basically making what I'm doing with you and speaking with you and giving you information illegal. So we had the Smith-Munt cake, which was making it legal for them to lie, but now here's 257 and 118 coming down the pike that make it illegal for me to tell you the truth. So I guess they're covering their bases here. So I'd like more information on those two if people know what's going on. I'm gonna go up to the Hill and ask some people about that, just get their opinions. So that's an important story. And then finally, there's this NGP van story. How did we know the NGP van story was going to be so important? Because we knew it's not just a donor database, Mr. Podesta. It's also a recipient database. And as you always used to say, it's better to make the person a recipient first, because then they always become a donor. And we know all the kinds of donors and recipients you're talking about, with the picture over your shoulder with the heart rendering that you have over your shoulder. So there was a horrible crash in Louisiana. You've heard me mention Lake Pontchartrain, the listening station, the Navy listening station there. There was a horrible crash there. You heard me mention the C-130s at Incirlik, not Incirlik Air Force Base, but Offutt Air Force Base in Omaha, where Seth Rich is from. 16 people killed yesterday, so we're going to get more information on that. You're in a tough situation as a reporter sometimes, because what do? Just let the drugs come in and then let them go to Ohio and put half the kids in jail and kill the other half? Or do you say something about it? Now, the deep state will strike back sometimes, and I hope this isn't a deep state chill where they're striking back against the people that are running those C-130s to keep them quiet. I just hope that's not the case. So finally, this NGP van thing, I'm sorry, I got off track. The Zero Hedge article, lots of articles came out by the Forensicinator that show that the 25 or 28 megabit a second rates are only possible using a thumb drive. There is one other way. There is one other way, and that's a leased line. The leased line you can actually get in the United States that could do that kind of data rate. It would be expensive. It would be like maybe 10, 15, 20,000 a month, depending on the rate you got, depending on the rate the DNC got. But if it was Huma, and you were supporting a remote employee that, let's say, was sick and said she had morning sickness or something, and that's why she had to be remote, or Uretsky, if you said, oh, we have a remote administrator in Boston or a remote administrator in New York, like Justin Cooper, you could basically do a backup every time the system backed up. And I believe that's actually what happened now. Every backup was also backing up remotely. I think this is the whoops, I backed up your data again, that Huma and Anthony worked so many times in Congress, the Juan brothers worked so many times in Congress with a BlackBerry to the laptop backup, because whoops, I did it again. I can always say there was no intent and no crime. Again, go with modus operandi in the past. We'll follow all these stories today as they develop.